Hello IP3, Teacher Dennis here. Welcome to this week's class. Okay, before we start with what we're going to learn this week, I just want to remind everybody that you had homework to do last week. So I will just make sure that it was page 6 and 7. You had to answer the questions on the screen, okay? I'll just read the questions for you again. Do you look like your parents? Are your parents tall or small? Are you the same as them? Is junk food good for you? Okay, very easy questions for you to answer. How much exercise do you get? Do you do enough exercise? How much sleep do you get? Should you sleep more or less? Okay, they were questions that you had to do in your copybooks, health copybooks at home for homework, okay? So I just want to remind everybody that if you did not do this, you have to do this as it is your homework. So we will continue with today's class. And we're going to go through the different stages of growth again, okay? We're going to look at them in more detail so that we can understand what the different stages of growth mean and what happens to us during those stages of growth. Okay, so we're going to start on page 8. Okay, start on page 8. Okay, so please follow while I read. When we were born, we were a baby. We were small and helpless. We depended on our parents to feed and protect us. Okay, so you know, when you're a baby, you cannot feed yourself. You need your parents to feed you or other people to feed you, adults to feed you. You can't dress yourself, you can't do anything. So when you're a baby, it is the time of your life when your only job is to eat, sleep, and grow. Okay, that's all you can do because you can't do anything yourself. Okay, now let's look at the next one. When we were older, we learned to sit up. We started to recognize people and things around us. We learned to walk at the age of 1. We were toddlers then. Okay, so when we're babies, we can't do anything. Then we get a little bit older, 1 year old, and we learn to sit up. So before you can just lie down, you can't do anything, but then you learn how to sit up. So once you've learned how to sit up, after that you can start recognizing people around you. So you can recognize your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties, okay? You recognize people and other things around you too. So if you're in a room, you'll know where the TV is, you'll know where something else is, okay? You'll start recognizing things that are around you. And then after that, you'll learn how to walk. So first you learn how to sit up, and then you learn how to crawl. And then after you crawl, you learn how to stand up. Then after you learn how to stand up, you learn how to walk. And once you've learned how to walk, you are then called a toddler, okay? So once you reach the ages of 1, 2, 3, you are known as a toddler, okay? Normally when you can walk, people will call you a toddler. So that can happen at different ages, okay? All right, next one. Later, we learn to talk and play with friends. And you learn how to sing and dance. We learn to say our age and name. We even learn to spell our names too. So it takes you a long time to learn how to even say your name. It might be so easy to you now. You forget that up until you're maybe 3 or 4, 5 years old, some people can't say their name or don't remember that they have a name. So you also learn other things. So learning your name is one of the first things that you do. But then you learn how to sing songs. You learn how to dance. So you can move in different ways. Before, while you're a toddler, you just learn how to walk, okay, and how to say small sentences. But then you get a little bit older and you can do so much more, like sing a song, okay? And eventually then you'll learn how to write just a little bit. You'll learn how to write your name, okay? So that's a major development in your growth, okay? That's where you're going now from just being verbal, which means making noise, to being able to write as well, okay? So before I move on, you might see some questions here at the side of the PowerPoint. You will need to write these questions into your copybook and answer them. I will help you with this page, but I will not answer the other pages. So on this page, question 1, what are we called when we are born? Very easy. What are we called when we are born? Babies, okay? So we are called a baby when we are born. Question number 2, what are we called when we learn to walk? What are we called when we are learn to walk? What is the next stage? After baby, we are called toddlers, okay? We are called toddlers, okay? So we are called toddlers when we learn to walk. That is the answer for question number 2. Excuse me. And question number 3. After we learn to walk, what other things do we learn to do? Okay, excuse me, sorry, I got thirsty. After we learn to walk, what other things do we learn to do? Well, we can learn to sing, and we can learn to dance, and we can learn to spell our name, okay? So that's 3 things after we learn to walk that we can learn to do, okay? So there's your 3 questions on this page, 3 easy answers. They're all on the side of the, in your book, okay? Okay, so let's go to the next page. Okay, so the next stage. We go to school when we are 7 years old. There we learn to read and write. We also learn to count. Okay, so some people go to school at different ages, okay? Some people will go to school from 3 years old, some people will go to school from 5 years old, and in some places people go to school at 7 years old. But it's around 7 years old that we learn how to read and write and count, okay? Next one. When we are between 13 and 19 years old, we become teenagers. Teenagers. We grow taller and bigger very quickly. Okay? So when we are teenagers, we will notice that we can grow very, very quickly. We get tall very, very quickly. And at that stage, between 13 and 19, you're called teenagers. Okay? We are called teenagers. And that makes sense. You can remember this because when you are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, okay? Teenager, okay? So you're at the ages of your teens, teenagers, okay? So that's how you can remember those. Next one. After that, we enter the stage of adulthood. We work to support ourselves. Our parents do not look after us anymore. So when you're no longer a teenager, you get to 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and up, you become an adult, okay? And when we are an adult, our parents don't look after us anymore. It's time for you to go and find your own work, your own job, and then you can provide for yourself. So you don't need your parents' money anymore. You have your own money. And that we are called an adult. Okay? Adult. Okay, I'll read out your questions for you, but I'm not going to answer them for you. Question 4, because we had 3 questions already. This is question 4. What do we learn when we go to school? Okay, easy question. Question 5. What are we called when we are between 13 and 19? Very easy. And question 6. What are we called when our parents don't look after us anymore? Okay, very easy questions. Okay, page 10. Later, we will find a life partner, get married and start a family of our own. So after we have found our jobs, then we'll find somebody to create our own family, okay, to start your own family. So you will have gone from being in a family with your mom and dad to a new family where you become mom and dad, okay, and then you will start and you'll help your children do what your parents did for you now, are doing for you now. And then, next one. When we reach 60 years old, we are considered old. We may not be able to respond quickly. Our senses of hearing and sight deteriorate. We may need hearing aids and spectacles to hear and see clearly. Okay, so at 60 years old, we are not young anymore, so we are considered old. Now, that doesn't mean that you're very, very old or that you can't do anything anymore. But at 60, it's when our body changes. So before, our body can grow and get stronger, but now at 60, from 60 years and after, it's not the same anymore. It starts to deteriorate. So that means it gets worse. So your eyesight before, very, very good. Not anymore. Your ears, your hearing is brilliant, but not anymore. So our body is not functioning at the same quality that it did before, or the same level it did before. It starts getting worse. So we need to look after ourselves. For example, maybe you need to get glasses when you never had glasses before. Maybe you need to get hearing aids when you never needed hearing aids before. So this is when we are considered old. Okay? All right. 2 questions here. Question 7. What are we called when we are 60 years old? Okay, very easy. What happens to our eyes and ears when we get old? Okay, 2 easy questions again. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next page in your book, page 11, is something that we are not going to do, okay? But you can do at home if you want with your family. So what this wants you to do is that you measure yourself once per month, okay? So for example, this is June. If you measure yourself today, we've already did this earlier on, but you can use the same date and height to put in your height and weight. And then next month, July, on the same day, you can measure your height and weight. And then August, September, October, November, you can do the same thing. And then you can calculate the difference that you are. But we've already done that, and we will do it again at the end of the year. So if you want with your family just to fill this in, you can, but it's not required, okay? This is just for you and your family if you want, okay? All right. So, page 12 and 13, I do not want you to do this. Do not do this. We will do this when you come back to school, okay? Your homework for this week is to answer the questions, okay? You have 8 questions to write into your copybooks and answer. So I'll read out the questions one more time. No answers. I'll just read the questions so everybody knows what they need to write into their copybook and write the answer for. And try to write a full sentence, okay? If you can write a full sentence, that is fantastic, okay? Question 1. What are we called when we are born? Question 2. What are we called when we learn to walk? Question number 3. After we learn to walk, what other things do we learn to do? Question number 4. What do we learn when we go to school? Question number 5. What are we called when we are between 13 and 19? Question number 6. What are we called when our parents don't look after us anymore? Question number 7. What are we called when we are 60 years old? And last question, number 8. What happens to our eyes and ears when we get old? Okay, so nice and easy, 8 questions. Do not do pages 12 and 13, okay? That's all you need to do. Okay, IP3, thank you very much for this week. Don't forget to do your homework and see you again next week. Thank you.